How's it going, everyone? I'm Pandaholic. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm trying out some new content. Never done. This is going to be kind of a let's play tutorial type. Today we're playing some Rimworld. If you don't know what Rimworld is, it's kind of a it's an RTS. But it's also got like a lot of city builder feels to it, kind of a settler-y. The most similar this game is to, if you've ever played it, is Dwarf Fortress. Actually, I think most people would consider this just an easier Dwarf Fortress, or Dwarf Fortress with an interface, like an actual graphical interface. But anyway, that's enough of that. I'm not exactly good at this game either, but I think I can give enough of the basics to get you guys through without dying within the first hour or so. With that, we're going to start a new colony. And so we've got a few different things we can work with. We've got Crash Landed, which is the standard start. This is the one, the default start that you would usually start with, and it basically, you start with all these items. You start with 3 people chosen from 8, and there's there's just a bunch of items on the map. And then Lost Tribe, this is Crash Landed basically. So you have some stuff researched, whereas Lost Tribe, you start with 5 people. They have a lot of low tech stuff researched but not really much else. I could have said that better, but that's okay. I'll get more into the research and all that later. Right now, it doesn't really matter too much, so don't worry about it. Basically, you start with 5 people, chosen from 8, and you start with this stuff. And then Rich Explorer, actually, I've never actually played this one, but apparently you start with a lot of a gun turret and one person. That's a pretty OP start, I'd say. This would probably, it's a little bit slower, I suspect, but it's probably pretty easygoing start to start with. And then Naked Brutality, this is the hardest one. You start with nothing. You just one person, you start with nothing. Out of all these, I'd say going from least hardest to most hardest, it would be Rich Explorer, Crash Landed, Lost Tribe, and then Naked Brutality. And this, honestly, for new players, I always recommend them starting with this. It's the easiest way to get into the game. It's the way I got into it. They didn't even have any of these scenarios when I got into it. You can also make your own scenarios. You can actually, there's a scenario editor here, and you can actually just add stuff and then add whatever you want to start with. And then you can also give custom difficulty modifiers and stuff if you really wanted to. Oh man, you could start with a heat wave in effect, or a psychic drone, or you can start with enemies spawning nearby, or something like that. It's a bit crazy. You can do a lot of stuff with it. I wouldn't worry about it until you get a handle on the game. All right. So with that, we're gonna pick Crash Landed. We're gonna go with next, and we come here. We have 3 different storytellers, and then we also have the difficulty. For the difficulty, straight up medium. Start with medium. It's the best way to experience the game if you're new. And for commitment time, you're always gonna, I don't ever do commitment mode. Commitment mode is basically like Iron Man. So if you die, you start over. You can only save the game when quitting. It's not true Iron Man, where it's not like a roguelike where you just, as soon as it's over, it's you start over. It's not a hardcore mode, rather. I guess that is true Iron Man. That's fine. But it's an Iron Man mode, and then there's just regular you can save anytime mode. I always pick this. I will not lie to you. I save scum sometimes. This one I probably won't. Just to get a feel. And then we've got the 3 storyteller modes: Cassandra Classic, Phoebe Chillax, Random. Cassandra Classic. Basically, how the game works is it throws events at you, and it gets progressively more challenging as these events are thrown at you. But in between events, there's usually a lot of time to prepare. And usually it's good event, and then bad event, and then good event, and then bad event, or something like that. Or, well, event, not good. I mean, there are some good events. I mean, it's hard to explain unless you really experience it. I believe the difficulty settings is literally just the difficulty ramps up faster, and you get less time to really play around with stuff before, like, the next event. And I don't think things actually hit harder or anything like that. I think it's literally just things ramp up faster. Phoebe Chillax, there's just you get a lot of time. You get a lot of time in between events. So really this is... Oh wow, actually, I guess, see, I've never done Phoebe Chillax either. I just always assumed that it was just more time between events, but it looks like it does ramp up as time goes on. So there's that. So I don't know which of these would be harder. I assume Cassandra Classic would end up being harder in the beginning, but a little bit less hard at the end. And then we have Random, who's basically an asshole. He throws anything at you at any time he wants. I mean, sometimes he'll throw a bunch of good events at you in a row, and then suddenly he'll just drop the hammer and you'll get just event after event that just completely screws your colony over. Can be very fun, can also be very boring. I believe Cassandra Classic is the most consistent here. And that's the one we're going to play with, since this is also the one that I recommend you start with. And so here we have the world gen. It creates just a globe with a random seed with different biomes and whatever. You can kind of screw with this to get more population, less population, higher temperature, more rainfall, and the continent will cover... Well, you can cover it up to 100% of the globe. This basically just makes the map gen take longer, and this world is so huge and there's so much to do. So many places to pick from. I would just keep everything at stock, unless you really want to mess with that yourself. You can do that on your own time. I don't want to show you that. But anyways, randomized seed doesn't really matter what it is, unless you have a specific seed in mind. I don't specifically think it matters. Like in game, anyways, and you'll see why. And this is just the mods. This is actually mods. We're only going core if we have the DLC disabled, by the way. So this is just the core game. We don't have the royalty mod, the royalty DLC. We don't have any other mods installed. This is just completely vanilla, completely no DLC. So you can navigate the globe with the WASD keys. As you can see, this is about 30% of the globe. Everything else is water. It don't really matter too much. You just have more areas to pick from where to land otherwise. And so we've got a few different places to pick from. We've got extreme desert, arid shrubland. We've got tropical rainforest. We've got a temperate forest. I believe there's swamp. Yeah, temperate swamp. I believe there's another swamp. All the greens kind of blend together for me. Boreal forest, right? We have that. This is basically like a colder forest. Temperate is like the northwest, basically. Yeah, then we have tundra, and then we also have an ice sheet. So what I'll say Temperate Forest, probably the best place to start. Usually not too many things that'll kill you, any animals that'll kill you right off the bat. It's got a really great growing a growing time frame, because there are seasons in this game. It goes, I think each season is 15 days, I think. Yeah, 15 days. But yeah, there's not really many like dangerous creatures that could spawn here. There are, but they're not, like, I believe like the swamp in the tropical forest do spawn some more dangerous creatures. Anything that's cold is going to be really hard to live in, straight up, because you're not going to be able to grow food very often. And then anything that's also really hot is also definitely going to be very hard to live in. In fact, these are only, like, if you really want to do like a challenge playthrough, these are like the zones like tundra and desert or extreme desert. I kind of recommend doing that as like a challenge playthrough. But yeah, basically my only thing is you can't live here. There's no, this dude, this little colony here, he can't live here. There's no way. Yeah, there is no grow zone at all. You're not going to be able to have food. All the animals will die, basically. There's nothing up here. But anyways, these little, like, icons on the map, these are just colonies. We have, let's see, we have space pirates, we have normal colonies, and then we have tribes. And depending on where you're from, like, see, hold on, if we click, like, let's go, like, right here. You can see what factions are going to be right near us. We have 8. And everything except, I believe, the pirates, you can actually... There's like different diplomacy levels and stuff, which doesn't really matter too much. You can kind of, like, if you get friendly with things, you can trade with them too, if you want to. I think only pirates you can never... Yeah, they're permanently hostile. Actually, I think there's a couple that look like they're permanently hostile. I think if they're -100, they're permanently hostile. I thought it was only space pirates that were, but that doesn't really matter. The factions don't really matter. Don't even worry about that. So what you're looking for, I recommend something with large hills and something with a good grow zone. Like we're looking right here, we have large hills. And our grow zone is about half the year. Well, that's okay. You could get away with that. But it would be better to find something like 40 days or 50 days. It would be like the easier start, I believe. Let's see if we can find one. It might be like better over here. Maybe? That's 40. That's 50, yeah. Alright, so we got large hills. We've got a good decent grow zone, 58 days out of 60 days here. We've also got special features, and that's something that's a little bit interesting. Special features are just, I mean, the random chance that they appear, not everything has them, obviously. So this one has caves, and caves can be... They can be a bit dangerous because there's there are things that live in the caves or will invade caves. There's a good chance they're going to spawn, and they are not friendly, and they're probably like one of the most dangerous things in the game. They're like a bug species. It's really, really terrible. Really terrible. Yeah, see, this is 40 days. This is nothing, but let's see. That's a river. Rivers aren't special features. I thought they were. Oh, but yeah, these things right here, these are rivers. You can range from just a creek to a very large river. And also we have roads. Roads are good because, well, usually they're traveled. You get a lot of traders usually on roads. It's sometimes good to actually settle on an area that has a road in it. What are the other special... Let's see, is it just caves that's a special feature? I thought there was other things that were a special feature, but maybe not. Maybe it is just caves. But this doesn't, you don't have to settle on a road or a river if you don't want to. Rivers are just, in my opinion, they're really annoying because you can't build on them anything except a bridge. But they are good for like different sources of power generation. Like I believe there's like a water wheel that you can do, and I think there is like certain things you can build on it besides a bridge now, but don't think so. But that doesn't matter too much, and so we're looking for something with large hills. And you can range from having mountainous to none, flat, as you can see the terrain. Mountainous, there are a lot of mountains. There's never very much place to settle down. Most of the time when people do this, they're gonna want to do like cave dwellings or something if they want to. It also makes it really, really fortified because there's usually only going to be a few choke points to defend. Large hills, I think this is the best like of anything, just because without any hills at all, you don't really, there's no steel on the map unless you somehow buy it, or other like natural resources that you would need, like steel, uranium, machine components, glass steel. That's basically that, and you'll find yourself using a lot of steel eventually. Although steel is very easy to come across, and it's probably the most like the one thing you would probably need the most. But you could buy it, but it's just a pain in the ass. So I always go with large hills. Good amount of cover, good amount of just in general. It's a decent amount. There's still a lot of places to choose from. You're not really gonna, unless you really want to, you don't really have, you can build out in the open. I usually build out in the open, so. There are small hills though, which that's just not very much. The other thing that's kind of sorta like okay to look at, but not really, is the stone types. See, this has slate, sandstone, and limestone. Like all the stone types can be made into walls and fortifications and stuff. And art doesn't matter too much. I believe marble is the best for artsy pieces. It's also the weakest. And granite is the toughest. Granite is super tough, really great for walls. You can't burn it, which is also a very big factor. But yeah, I've been kind of rambling on about this a little bit too long. Let's go ahead and pick a place. This looks good. This is fine. It's not really, it's kind of out in the middle of nowhere. That's fine. That's fine. See, we don't really need to mess around with advanced. Advanced is basically just like your map size and whatever season you want to start in. Don't worry about this at all. Like, it don't matter. And the map size, I always recommend one of the two mediums, or maybe the smalls even if you want to do something smaller. The larges are very kind of glitchy with the way Rimworld's of like event system works, and sometimes they're really wonky with also the AI. So I would only recommend these two. These are like these two as your map size. And honestly, you have so much room to work with. You're never gonna want a large. Like, it doesn't even matter. And also, it can make, if you have a less beefy PC, this will make your machine chug. Even if, yeah, it'll make you chug. Don't do it. It's not a bad time, but it's probably a weird time. I just don't recommend it. But anyways, we're gonna go with this spot. We're actually in the middle of nowhere, which isn't really that big of an issue. Because we're still gonna get guests and stuff. It doesn't matter. So we're gonna hit next. And so here is the character, like the character creation sheet. You can either pick 3 of these if you wanted, Like from the 8 characters that you have, you can just swap them in. Or you can just pick a character and randomize their stats. It doesn't really matter. It's personal preference, really. I always randomize, no matter what. Some people like to play this way, where they'll pick from the actual characters. I don't really care too much about that. So I will almost always randomize my character. And you can give them a name if you want, it don't matter. The childhood and the adulthood, that kind of determines what kind of skills they get and what they can't do. Like this guy can't do intellectual stuff, which means he can't research, basically. Little fires next to these skills here are their passion for it. I believe it goes up to 2 fire. And let me see if I can find one. Or it's a 2 fire, or it's just a big fire. Yeah, here we go. 2 fires. They're pretty big. And so he's got and what the passion does, it basically just increases their learning. He, like this guy, he can shoot. And if he shoots, he gets 150% experience bonus versus his melee skills, which he only gets 100% bonus, which is still really good. It's something to look into, especially when you're looking for someone to specialize, which is almost always what you should do with characters. You're not going to want them doing everything, because then they're never going to be able to get anything done. And so with that, like I said, it was randomize. When you're looking to randomize a character, you're looking for someone that has 1, no health conditions, and 2, incapable of nothing. That is the very least you should be looking at. And there are traits too. Ooh, this guy actually had 3 traits. What? Is that unusual? Maybe it's not. No, I feel like that's unusual. Yeah, that's very unusual. We have 3 people with 3 traits. Maybe not. But anyways, the traits kind of do their own thing. Each of them has their own like little quirk that they add to the character. Like this person is a quick sleeper, so they can sleep for 4 hours and get the same rest as someone who sleeps 8. Body purist. Yeah, they don't like anything that's artificial or bionic or anything. And there is that kind of stuff here. You can do chopping, which some people do. And then he's nimble. He's it looks like, so he has a good chance to dodge, and he has a very low chance to spring traps if he's nimble. What are we looking at for bicep here? These are all really weird names. I guess they're nicknames, it don't matter. Yeah, creepy breathing. You'll get traits that are not ideal and traits that are. This isn't too bad. This just means that he's not going to have a relationship with anything. And like, if I were picking this character, I wouldn't, just because he's got a health condition and it causes him pain. If this didn't cause him pain, I could probably deal with it, but see, it says 3% pain there. So there is a moodlet like thing, which I'll show you once we get in game. Don't worry about it now. But anything with pain causes a moodlet debuff, and you don't want that. But anyways, back to the traits. Some of these you'll want, some of these you won't. Like I wouldn't take this guy at all, ever, because one, he's incapable of these 3 things, and his traits are garbage. And you'll learn which ones are really good. Like this guy, Psychically Dull is amazing. Psychically Dull is a great trait to have, but he's got a go juice addiction, which is, I don't even remember what the equivalent of that was, but yeah, there's drugs in this game. You can get addicted. Don't do it. And you'll learn the good traits and the traits you don't want. But with that, beyond that, as long as you get, like, just read the traits. The traits are very straightforward. They tell you what the debuffs are going to be. Read them. It'll be pretty it'll be pretty easy to understand. And so beyond that, if you're looking for, let's see, because usually what I'm going to do is I'm going to be looking for a few stats in my characters that I want starting. It's a bit metagamey. I don't particularly care. I always like my first main 3 to be really good so they don't die right off the bat. But some people like to do the completely random and just take what they want. That's fine. That's fine too. It's just not my play style. So usually what I'm looking for at least a 6 and a passion for construction, for plants, for cooking, and for medical. So 4 things combined through all these guys. So like this guy could have 6 construction, this guy could have 6 cooking and 6 medical, and then this guy could have 6 in plants. That's ideal. You want those because, one, having someone who's really bad at construction basically means they will always use way more resources than necessary to create stuff, and they will fail to break stuff, or they will fail to make stuff, and they will also make stuff that's of low quality. There's a quality system in the game. It's really something you should abide by. In cooking, it has its similar drawbacks. If you have a low cooking skill, you will basically, you could cause people to get food poisoning. And then also it affects speed, like just in general. Like, and when I meant 6 in plants, I meant 8. 8 is you can grow heal root, you can grow your own medical, like your own medical farm basically. Farming is basically just based on your plant skill, and each food item is generally locked behind a certain level. I believe heal root is 8, and then there's a bunch of food that are like 5, like berries. It's not particularly needed to get that. It's just nice to have someone with a decent plant skill, because they're fast at it, they don't spend a lot of time, get other things done. Then you have a big variety of stuff you can actually grow versus just having a couple of things. It's good, it's fine. And then with medical skill, it's the same. Like, the higher the skill, the higher your quality of medical is going to be. So your patients aren't likely to die after you've given them medical services. And then, but beyond that, you're looking for anything else, it's not super important, really. You could also look for like shooting and melee skill if you really wanted to, but it's not really as important as those 4 main: construction, cooking, plants, and medical. Intellectual could be because there is a research like portion of the game. Like, there is like a bench that you can research new techs at. This would increase the speed, but that's all like a good intellectual stat would be useful for. At least someone with a fire in it would be fine, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. If you want to just go, as long as you've got people who are incapable of nothing and people who have no health like defects, and they've got traits that you are okay with, just go with that. It's fine. Otherwise, you could spend 10 million years actually rolling the characters perfectly the way you want it, like I want to, which is probably what I'm going to do. And so I'm probably going to cut. All right. And so I've created the characters that I am fairly happy with. They aren't quite exactly what I was looking for, but I think they'll work out. So we've got Masahiro Drake, or just Drake. They got a construction 4. They got a 12 in plants, which is nice. And they are also pretty decent. I mean, they're not decent, but they've got some medical experience, which is fine. They got some really good, really decent like traits to look for. Pretty doesn't really matter too much. Misogynist just means like they distrust women. So I mean, it doesn't really matter too much unless you're just full of women in your colony or something like. But he's got sanguine, which is really great. This means they just get a plus 12 to their mood permanently. This is amazing. This means they're basically never going to break. They're never going to have any kind of problem unless something seriously bad happens. Like he's starving and he's up all day or something. Or he is in serious pain. I don't know. Don't worry about it too much. I couldn't really think of anything off the top of my head that would make this guy break. It didn't really matter. All right, and so we've got Lacey Pritchard, the Drifter. They've got pretty decent stats overall. 4 in construction, 5 in cooking. And then social is decent to have if you're trading with people or if you're trying to recruit someone onto your side. More on that later. Hopefully I get the chance to show that. And I know I didn't really, I was going for a 6 in construction and 6 in cooking, but this, they've got a fire for both of them, 1, and they've got the fast learner trait, which just increases your global learning speed by 75%. That is great. That is great. Trigger happy, basically just don't give them a gun. They will probably not hit their target, but they are really fast at shooting. But it's probably not good to give them a gun. And so now we've got Lisa Bishop. She's just, yeah, she's gonna be our probably our researcher and our doctor, basically, for the colony. Although you're decently good at it. You're also decently good at plants, which is fine. Both of these, well, actually, no. You're the only one that's kind of decent at cooking, but you're also, yeah, that may be a problem, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it'll be fine. Oh, you should be fine. Okay, you're fine. And this one, tough and kind. And so she basically takes a lot of damage before she goes down. And so she'll probably be like a frontliner. Give her like a mace or something or a knife. Take a lot of damage before she goes down. It'll be pretty good. These are the 3 characters that I'm going with, and that'll probably end it for this one. This is gonna be the first part. I figure this is going on a bit long. Do some editing in between to speed it up. We'll find out. However, hopefully it's a good one. I hope I've given you guys some decent pointers for starting up your game. Next episode we'll be getting into it. I'll try to explain everything that I can. But with that, peace.